Hello, I'm Paul Stryer, and welcome to the SD-WAN self-hosted lab build video series. In this video, we are going to create 3 main VMs that will become our controllers for a SD-WAN network. The 3 controllers are vBond, vSmart, and vManage. Remember, these 3 controllers can be on-prem, like we're going to do in our network today, or they can be subscription-based in the cloud. We will create a few vEdge cloud VMs that will be virtual versions of the hardware-based vEdge routers. Also, we will create a CSR VM that will allow us to show off the cEdge router as part of our lab topology. So with no further ado, let's jump into the lab. So a couple of things to note, just so we are on the same playing field. I'm using VMware ESXi, I'm not in vCenter, and I'm doing that just to show that I don't need vCenter for what I'm doing here. Also notice that I have a bunch of VMs already. That is my first version of this lab. I'm going to create a second copy of this lab, and that's the VMs we're going to build today. And you might be asking yourself, why not just make clones of the VMs I already have? And the answer to that question is, sure, I could do that, but for the purpose of this video, I want to show everything from scratch. So first off, notice that I am in Host and VMs view on our ESXi, and I'm going to click on the Create/Register VM to create our first virtual machine. In the Select Creation Type pop-up window, I'm going to select the second one, which is Deploy a Virtual Machine from an OVA or an OVF. Then I will click Next. On this next screen, I'm going to give the VM that I'm going to build a name. In this case, I'm going to be doing the vManage, so I'll name it vManage something. In this case, it's O2 because it's the second pod that I'm going to create. Next, I'm going to drag the file that we downloaded from Cisco.com into this blue window. So I'm going to select my Viptela vManage 1920 file and drag it over, and that's the OVA file. Now you can see that the file is there in the window, so I'll click Next to go to the next screen. On the storage screen, you want to select the storage that you want to put your VMs into. In this case, I'm going to select DS3 because that's where I'm putting all my VMs at, and then I'll click Next. On the deployment options screen, you're going to select your VM network. As you can tell, I've already created a network called SD-WAN Control, so I'm going to leave that on that one. Now this next option is one that's debated by many engineers, whether to go with a thick or thin hard drive. I always choose thin because I'm always working in a lab environment, and I don't care if I have speed on my hard drives because I'm not pushing this stuff to the limits. But in production, it is advised to go ahead and go with thick so that the hard drive is always the full size at all times. And in my case, I want my VMs to turn on automatically, so I'll leave that checked, and then I will click Next. Now we have a summary screen, and once we check out the summary screen, we can click Finished. As you notice at the bottom in the recent tasks, there is a task running, and that's the VM that we're creating for vManage. So now we're going to go ahead and create another VM and go ahead and let that run in the background while we create it. So I'm going to click Register and create another VM, select Deploy OVA OVF, and give this VM a name. In this case, I'm going to create the vSmart for our control network, and then I will go over to File Finder and find that file and drag it into our pop-up window, and then I'll click Next. The rest of this is exactly the same as the previous one, so I'm going to fast forward to the end of setting up this VM to install and go on to the next one because we need to talk about the vBond. Now that we've finished setting up the vSmart to install, you can see in the tasks that it is installing along with the vManage. So now I'm going to click on Register and create another VM, select Deploy OVA and OVF, and click Next. Then we're going to put in a name for the vBond. And this is the part I wanted to talk to you about because this gets a little confusing. So in this case, we need to go grab the file that is called Viptela Edge, and this is the one that we downloaded that was called vEdge Cloud. So we're going to drag the Edge file over because there is no file specific for vBond. It is the vEdge that creates the vBond as well, and it's just our configuration that makes it a vEdge or a vBond. So I'll click Next, and the rest of this is the same, so I will fast forward to the end of this install to get us to the next portion of the video. Now that we're done setting up the vBond to install, if you notice in the bottom in the recent tasks, we have 3 VMs installing. And if you look at the list at the top, there are the 3 VMs that we've created, the 02 VMs. So the next thing we're going to do is create a vEdge router. So we need to go back to create/register VM and start the process over again for the 4th time, but this time we're going to create a vEdge, but it's not that much different, just a different file. So once we create that button, we'll select deploy OVA OVF, click next, and then we will give the vEdge router a name. So hopefully you've put together your topology on paper and Visio, and you know what all your naming and addressing is going to be, so your names are here. Then we're going to drag the file over again. And this time we're going to use that same file that we used for vBond. So we're going to grab that vEdge file and drag it over there. Now remember, the vBond is installing at the same time that we're going to be installing this vEdge, and that's okay. It can pull from the same software at the same time, and there will not be an issue there. I'm going to go ahead and finish this one, and then I'll create another one and jump to the end of the video and show you that all the devices are being created. So I'm going to go ahead and skip the next section and go right to the end, since it's the same thing over and over again. So as you can see, we have 5 VMs created that are in the second pod, O2. And if you look, you can see that there is a vManage, a vSmart, and a vBond, and 2 routers, HQ1 and HQ2. Now notice that vManage O2 is not turned on, the little green arrow, because it hasn't finished installing yet, but the other ones have finished installing, and they automatically turn themselves on when it was finished installing. And the vManage will turn itself on when it's finished installing. Thank you for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you for future videos. This is Paul Stryer. Have a good day.